Clear that throat.
Exactly. No, we are now live, by the way.
Okay. Hello,
So
everybody.
go ahead and share, do whatever it is you think you need to do in life.
Yes, sir. Oh, whatever I need to do in life.
Exactly. That just felt like the right thing to say, I guess. But yes, I know there's some people who are definitely interested in hearing what we have to say today, because they're still talking about everything that we're going to talk about today.
Yep. Okay.
So let me know when you is you ready?
Yeah. Is you
All
ready?
right. Is you ready? All right.
You ready? I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Shut up and sit down.
Boom.
Hola, everybody. How you doing? This is Dope and Dharma, the middle edition of Dope and Dharma. Each and every Friday, we try to be here for you. If not, hope you missed us. Welcome. How you doing?
Right on.
I'm the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado here with you. And of course, Trinity Phillips is my partner in crime. He's the Dharma guy. Trinity Phillips, how are you?
I'm still not well, but I'm better, right? I guess.
You got a little sniffle. You got a little.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
a little of that.
Yeah, exactly. My wife had like some antibiotics laying around, so I took those for a few days, and I feel like I'm doing better. So
wait a minute, I thought you're supposed to use all the antibiotics that you get prescribed.
Have you met my wife, dude? Like, she doesn't follow any direction.
So you just said your wife is stubborn?
Very.
You must have the only stubborn wife on the planet.
Exactly. All other wives are like perfect. Mine's like the Wicked Witch of the West here. Sometimes.
Every single wife out there, mine's perfect.
They always listen.
Mine
They're so
is
kind
never
and
stubborn.
loving all the time. It's just crazy.
They're perfect, just like me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm never stubborn. Never do I argue.
No,
it's amazing how blessed
our wives are.
Yes,
exactly. And I try to tell
yours, especially yours, because you just absolutely don't argue one bit.
Me, no.
And for her not to take her antibiotics, horrible.
Exactly.
Anyway, Trinity, why don't you tell everybody how they can listen and watch and join us today? We got a few topics to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Speaker of the House vote. Apparently, it's going on for the 12th vote, probably as we speak, and it's still not resolved. We're going to be talking about the Idaho killer. Looks like they found him. We'll talk about that. Do an update on that.
Or at least proven guilty.
Yeah, but there you go. Good job. And then, of course, Damar Hamlin. We'll give an update on Damar Hamlin, the NFL guy who went down and had a cardiac arrest on the field during Monday Night Football. So go ahead and tell everybody how they can watch this.
Yeah, well, as always, if you'd like to participate in our discussions and give us your thoughts and write a message there for us, you can do that on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or Twitch under Dope and Dharma. And then if you just want to listen to us at your leisure on the go, you can do that on any of the major podcasting platforms. And you can always stay up to date if you follow us on any of the social media channels at the Dope Doctor, at the Dharma Guy, or at Dope and Dharma.
Right. And of course, the beautiful Kathy Phillips already called you out. She called you Pinocchio.
That's just because I'm a real boy. That's all she was talking about.
Yeah, that was really timely there, sir. Really good. All right. So as you know, if you do know us, you know that the middle means we're in the middle. We are neither Crips nor Bloods. We don't belong to any gang affiliation to the Republicans or Democrats. So we're in the middle, and that's why when we talk about these issues, even though we may sound like one side or the other at any given moment, it's because we're in the middle, and that's what middle should sound like. Sometimes you sound a little left, and sometimes you sound a little right if you're actually in the middle. If you always sound left or right, guess what? You're not in the middle. Why'd you get rid of yourself? What are you doing? What are you playing with stuff?
I was trying to mute my mic so I could cough, and I pressed the wrong button.
I was like, wait a minute, what happened? I was there all by myself all of a sudden.
Yes. It was the Louis show for a minute.
Yeah, I don't want to see me all live. I just got really big in my face all of a sudden.
That's what I was trying to be polite.
Yeah,
and not cough into my mic. So
the only time I want my face that big is if I pull out some tweezers or something. I'm trying to, beauty it up. So anyway, so that's where we go with it. So we do talk about some issues that we don't normally talk on the Couch Live, because on the Couch Live, I am the Dope Doctor, and you are the Dharma Guy, and we do help people with substance use disorders and mental health issues and families and all that. And that's what we talk about for the last 20 plus years. in the 23rd year, actually, now 23 years.
Wow.
So now in the 24th year. And then, of course, on Dharma time, again, I'm the dope doctor, and he's the Dharma guy. That's in the name, actually, people. And that's where we get very Dharma time-ish, and we curse a lot less, and we try to be as spiritual as possible, because we talk about life on a we talk about life in a spiritual way, whatever your faith is. But the Dharma guy is a Buddhist, so we start off from that perspective, and then brought out from there, venture out from that, and then of course this is We the Middle, and We the Middle we kind of bring in the morning after, which includes some sports, some really great teams, no matter how they're doing this year, and then some not so great teams. Even though it's a sports show, we talk about football, because really, is there any other sport? Really?
Every 4 years you got soccer.
It's either football or football, and that well, no,
Exactly.
it's still football. That proves that football is the only sport.
Call it soccer.
Still the only sport, whether you call it football or football. And then obviously we talk political issues, because we got so fed up of 20 plus years of just being good on the air, having the ability to just say you're so full of shit on the air is just so refreshing. It's so refreshing.
Yes.
I'm telling you, no, seriously, Trinity. I mean, when you're on the air, I've been on the air since 1999, being nice.
Right.
Starting We the Middle is probably the most refreshing show.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So which led to the rebranding of all of it to Dope and Dharma, because it allowed me to say some of you are just dumbasses sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you're playing counselor, you can be right in front of a dumbass, and you can't say dumbass.
You can. You just wouldn't be that good.
No, you can't even think dumbass. Trinity, literally, you can't even think it. I had a mental block where you could be the worst human on the planet, and literally, I'm loving you. I'm serious. I got good at it.
Right.
I am good at it. I could be in that room, and I can love you to death no matter how ridiculous you sound and are. Whereas when I take the hat off, it's like all of a sudden I put different glasses on. Oh my shit!
I'm going to keep that in mind for every one of our conversations.
Amen. Amen. You got to ask me if I have my Dharma glasses on.
Exactly.
I mean my dope doctor glasses on.
Right.
Because sometimes I am the red midget, and yes, I said it. Yes, I said that word, because that character got created back in. God, I was
back when it wasn't woke.
7. I was 7 years old. I created the red midget at 7 years old, and you know what? That 7-year-old Louis wasn't woke.
Right.
I'm still trying to wake up. So anyway, it has nothing to do with size. It has everything to do with he was a little on my shoulder, and my aunt helped me create it. No, I was 9. I was 9 years old when I created it. Anyway, on to this show, Dope and Dharma.
Yes.
We got a couple topics we want to talk about today. And,
Yes.
Let's just get right into them. Like I said, we're going to be talking about speaker vote, Idaho, and football.
Let's start the speaker vote.
Speaker vote.
Full disclosure, I found out this morning that apparently they've been making some votes and they haven't found.
My God, Trinity. What the? Really?
Just say it.
See, this is why we're not a news program.
No, we're not.
Because you really don't do your homework.
There's just some things I just don't care about, and that would be one of them.
Trinity.
Like, I just don't care who.
This is a huge laughable moment. It's not about whether you care who the speaker is. That's not the component that's funny. The funny thing is these bastards can't figure it out.
Right. Well, but that doesn't shock me. Like none of them like strike me as overly, forthright, intelligent, go-getting people. Like they just kind of like figureheads who just so happen to stumble into some votes. Very few of them have I looked to as like, wow, like that's an impressive human being, So when they do stupid things, I'm just like, stupid people doing stupid things.
You still got to run our country. We hire them.
That's the scary part.
We don't just vote for them. We hire them.
That's the scary part. That's why we started this show, is because we got tired of not saying anything about people we felt were inept.
Listen, I'm talking to all you. I'm talking to the Bloods right now. You Bloods got to get it together, man. You Bloods got to get it together. I mean, you are screwing this up. You literally had these 4 years in the pocket. I mean, it was like a gift, just like the last time, the last big vote was in the Crips' hands. It's like we gave it to them on a silver platter, right? Now we gave it to you on a silver platter, right? It's right there in front of your face. You got an old dude in office who can't link some words together, right? Worse than Gore, right? You have a vice president who's literally the worst speaker that should never have a microphone in front of her.
No.
Right? That was told I am hiring you simply because you're a figurehead, literally put in that position from day one. And you messed up the midterms because you guys can't get along. And you're messing up the Speaker of the House because you guys can't get along.
But isn't it because a lot of people just don't like him? From what my understanding is, from what I heard this morning, the guy who they're putting up.
It's irrelevant.
That's why he won't get the votes because they don't like him.
We should not know that.
Yeah, touche.
We have to believe in you and the system. And you're showing us how stupidly flawed you are. We should know that. No, look, Trinity, it's very similar to like when mommy and dad aren't getting along, right? Mommy and dad aren't getting along.
Yeah.
The kids really aren't supposed to know it all.
Right.
And I know it's hard. You know, I mean, I really suck at this because, you know, they're going to know when I'm not happy, right? So I kind of suck at it. But we're not supposed, like my parents were pretty good at it. I just knew because the house was quiet. Like they never argued in front of us, but my mom would be very quiet. But I never saw my parents argue.
You can tell my house. You can tell my house because she'll be cleaning something. Like she mad cleans.
Okay.
When she gets upset, she'll just start like cleaning stuff.
Dude, I'd be pissing her off all the time just for
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement. I'm saying is when she gets mad, she'll go on a cleaning tear.
Yeah, wine does that over here. I don't need to argue. So anyway, we're not supposed to. And look, first, you know, we used to, instead of Crips and Bloods, we'd always refer to the Republicans, Democrats as mommy and daddy because they were fighting so much, right? But then they fought so much that it was proven they're on different camps completely. They're in different gangs completely.
Oh yeah.
But now the gang is struggling within the gang. Within the gang,
leadership issues.
Yeah, dude. First of all, I thought Matt Gaetz was out of the picture. I thought he was gone. I thought his little sex scandal put him out. I mean,
nothing ever came of that, though.
Well, it's funny because the only time I ever met the dude, he even mentioned something. This is before the little sex scandal. He was talking about how much he looked up to John F. Kennedy in regards to, you know, because he felt, I guess so many people acted like he was so close to like looking like him or like a stud like him. He says, but I don't have his woman, you know, the women prowess or whatever he said. And then when I saw him at the bar, I even made mention of it. I was like, dude, I'm calling bullshit on it because I'm watching your little entourage of females that you're with. They're all like 10 years younger than you. And then he does a little snickers, a little laugh. And then we see the sex scandal. I was like, oh, okay. So I was right, Matt Gaetz. And now
I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say they're all dirty. I'm just going to be honest, man. Like if I see that your job title is politician, if I see your job titles, I immediately just assume, okay, you're dirty. I do.
And if they weren't dirty getting in, they got to be dirty getting out. It's like you can't leave clean.
No, it's like trying to wrestle with pigs in a pig pen. You're going to come out dirty, man.
It's like a president not coming out gray, right? Like no matter how they go in, they come out gray.
That? They all come out like they aged like 50 years.
Dude.
It's crazy. Like Obama, he was like suave, man.
Stud.
He comes out, it's all white. It's just really cool.
Done. It's done.
All of them, man.
It doesn't matter. So on this, so with the 12th vote in Trinity, apparently this is like highly unusual. Like I wouldn't know because it's not like I watch C-SPAN for a living.
Yeah, I have no
These
clue.
things only exist on C-SPAN, but it's not. But for some reason, it's not on C-SPAN. It's on regular television right now.
Well, it's because they're fighting, and so they're going to point out anytime they can, like with the mistakes that were made.
This is C-SPAN television, though. How is C-SPAN television so damn exciting?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're fighting. It's ridiculous. And what's happening, people, if you don't know, there has to be a speaker for each party. So there's a speaker for the Democrats, there's a speaker for the Republicans, and because the Republicans just won the House, they have to have a main speaker. Like there has to be that person. And they can't decide who it is.
Yeah. And like nothing can get done, right? Until they decide that?
Nothing.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
They can't decide within their own party who's going to be the verbal representative of that party, because you have this little group of 20 people that I think it got whittled down by now, but it started off as 20 that apparently, if you believe what you hear, and we have no reason not to believe a little bit of it, right? Sure. They're the most right of the right. So they're the most red, right?
I find it hard to believe that Trump's name isn't going to come up at some point as well.
It really hasn't.
Like
The
I
only
kind of
the
find it hard to
only
believe.
time, really, that it's a very good point, Trinity, because the only time I've heard his name is when they say that I think they said like 11 or 13 of the 20 were also not sponsored by, endorsed by Trump,
Yeah.
and they were the election deniers. I love how they call them election deniers. Like that's like there's always election deniers. That's not a new thing. Saying it was stolen. Okay, so what? But it's crazy. It's crazy. It's that little group.
Yeah.
So which leads you to think, oh, is there an opening? Is there a fraction? I think this is a Democrat's dream to say, oh, are they getting rid of those really far right? Are they starting to notice those really far righters have no place in the House? I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe. I don't think politics are so hard to read, man, because they all flip flop so much. They change with the wind, man.
You think they flip flop?
I do. Whatever they think is going to get them to vote.
You don't think it's predictable, like what side they're going to be on a certain issue?
I think that whatever they feel is going to keep them in power is what they're going to do.
Yeah, but their base doesn't really flip flop like that. So, like, in other words, like if you're anti-abortion, don't you kind of stay anti-abortion?
No, because Joe Biden, he's gone to both sides. Like, and he's
I'm going to use your word, touche. That's what you always say.
Yeah, so like, no,
you're right.
I think once again,
maybe so.
Whatever's going to keep them in power is what they're going to. I don't think most of them have a backbone. I don't think most of them have any like principles or things that they stick to anymore.
So, what do you think it is? What do you think is going on right now? What are they really fighting about, Trinity?
I think that a lot of people just don't like him. I think that they don't like his perspectives and opinions, and then they don't want him speaking for them.
You don't think it has to be bigger than that?
I mean, it could be, but I'm just giving my outside perspective. Just some of the things that I've heard. Like I said, I paid attention a little bit this morning, and just the vibe that I'm getting is just they don't like him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, I think because they happen to all be a certain kind of conservative,
which is weird though, because Mitch McConnell doesn't strike me as a likable person.
None of them do.
Yeah, but out of all of them, Mitch McConnell is like the least likable person. He looks like the angry grandpa that just comes by on Christmas and like, I'm not getting anybody Christmas this year. Like,
wait, are we talking about Mitch McConnell though?
No, I'm just saying, like, they don't seem to like this new guy. Well, but they all voted for Mitch McConnell to have him be the speaker. So I was like, okay, he doesn't seem likable either. So
yeah, okay.
Like, why does likability all of a sudden now matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think because you have to be able to rally your troops, first of all. Sure. If you're going to be the leader of your party, like Nancy Pelosi rallies her people.
Nancy was like a battle axe.
And look at what Nancy had against her. Nancy had the squad. This is this dude's example of the squad, right? This is his squad.
Yeah.
He's got a little squad, and Democrats had it, but damn it, man, because the other side
got stuff done.
Because at the end of the day, she says, this has to be done because if not, it's a Trump thing. It's like she had a Trump to say, right? That's what has to happen here. You got to villainize Biden to your group because you're saying you're giving it to them, right? You're just asking for them to win, right? I think that's the big deal because the squad. I think this is the new way. I think the new way is there's always going to be 10 to 20 that are the new squad, whether it's a Crip squad or a Blood squad. They're going to be the far end, right? And it probably always was, Trinity. It was on C-SPAN, so we didn't know. Yeah. What was on C-SPAN? That's like some ESPN offshoot that we just never watch. That it's all day long cornhole.
The only time I've ever seen like the highlights of C-SPAN is when somebody gets up and like loses their mind. Then all of a sudden,
usually it's from London.
Well, that's Parliament
or some Asian country. So they have the really cool, bloopers. I love it. So I don't know. I you know what? That would be really cool. I think that's what we need. I think we need one of those moments where people just start throwing blows.
I would see now that I would watch,
dude. I think that's necessary. We need to have one of those, those Waffle House moments where the patron all of a sudden starts throwing chairs.
Yeah, one of those just a celebrity boxing match or something. Like, let's just put them all in a ring and let them go at it.
Because what the hell? I mean, just look,
Yeah.
look. Matt Gaetz. I mean, what are you doing? And it's not just him. It's just that he's just the only name I can remember.
Yeah, he's
You know what I
weird.
mean? Yeah, he's just the only one I can remember. So
Sure.
and we know he's a hardcore Trumper. So
Yeah.
which is fine. You're
But
allowed to
have
be a
you
hardcore
noticed
Trumper.
though?
I have no
But
issue with that.
to my point earlier, have you noticed though? Like a lot of the scandals that come out from them aren't like simple, like relatable scandals. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they got caught with a DUI or something. Or they had weed on them or something. No,
That
man,
was
they're
Nancy
like,
Pelosi's husband.
well, like that one dude, like getting caught with like transvestite hookers and stuff. Like it's
Oh,
always like the craziest stuff like these people are into. Like how are they represented? Like what? Even our guy here in Florida, the guy that was going up
that's
against
who you're talking about.
DeSantis.
That's who you're talking about.
No, that's the second one.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was passed out on, after doing meth with
yes,
like you said. We don't know. He, she, transvestite,
yeah.
or well, I don't know what they were. What were they?
I don't know. I don't know, but his
Was it
particular
just
one, I don't
gay?
remember.
Was it
I
just
think it was
normal
just gay. I
gay?
think it
Or
was gay.
okay, well that's.
But my point
whatever.
is though, it was
But
just
the
like,
fact is that he was passed out
yeah,
naked.
the
that was the
point
bigger
is,
part.
when they get caught with scandals, it's always like, whoa, like
Right.
scandals on steroids.
Right.
It's not like a scandal that you find out from your neighbor that like maybe they, I don't know,
Right.
they cheated on their wife or something. Like
Right.
something basic that like,
Because
okay,
that's every day okay over there, bro. That's why.
yeah, that's life. That's not a scandal. That's just what they do. It's just
Yeah.
insane to me that this when they do have a scandal, it's always like ratcheted up to like a 10. It's like,
Right.
Jesus, man.
Right.
What was that one guy?
Yeah, like they got an island. They got a private island with them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like, holy shit, man. Are none of you guys just normal, man? Like,
Oh,
God.
my God. And you know the weird thing, Trinity, is from my recollection, I don't remember our student government being so wacky. I thought they were the good
No.
kids. I thought those were the
Yes.
straight A kids. And by the way, in college, in one of my colleges, I was in student government. They voted me in. And I was
that
like,
explains
what?
a lot. What was that one? There was a mayor up in DC even. I can't remember his name now.
Oh, the crack pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he got like reelected
Over and over again.
That's what I'm saying. It's like their scandals are always like, what the hell is happening here? Like when there's scandals, it's like you're reading something from an Onion. You know what I mean? Like the fake website. It's like, oh, this can't be real. No, it's real. Like they've lost their mind. So it's just weird that like, I don't know. I've just noticed that so many of them have like the weirdest, like crazy, and yet we elect these people. Like,
it makes you look at the student government kids in high school a lot different.
Yeah.
It's like saying, "Wow, you guys are all like hidden freaks."
Yeah, man.
You guys are like you. If you're the student body president, you're a freak, dude. There's something.
Well, if one of my kids comes home and it's like, I made a new friend today. They're the president. No, they're not your friend anymore.
Yeah. Those are the bad kids.
Yeah.
Go hang out with the pothead.
Exactly.
Get away from that student body president.
No. God only knows what you're going to be up to with that person,
right?
Because when it had to start somewhere, right?
So right.
You're not going to convince me that it started when they were like 35 and got elected. No. That started a long time ago.
God, you're so right.
It's just weird, man.
So here it is. So we're in the midst of it. I don't know if it's gonna. Maybe by the end of the show we'll have a Speaker of the House on the right side.
It is a lot, so we'll see.
But it's just insane how they're really looking stupid, and it's laughable. You guys got to get your crap together. That's all I'm saying. Republicans, get your crap together, man. It's because you look stupid right now. And it said that we can't have both sides look stupid at the same time.
Well,
only one side's allowed to look stupid at a time.
One could argue.
Yeah. All right. What's the next topic? I'm done talking about those bloods.
The next one is the Idaho potato killer. I had to throw that one in.
How are you even throwing a joke?
I always think Idaho. I think Idaho potatoes. Like, is there anything else in Idaho other than potatoes?
Yeah, like a murder. Scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a horrible murder scene.
Yeah, I don't know. It always shocks me.
What?
I don't know what. It's not clear to me over the years what the requirements are for something to go viral. Because 4 people were killed, yes, horrendous, and it sucked, and it was done in a horrible way. But
disclaimer.
You go to multiple. I mean, just take any weekend in Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just weird to me. What gets playtime and what doesn't. Like when I hear like the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. Okay, I understand why that blew up because that was what the hell's going on here.
Right.
But 4 college kids killed in the dorm. You can't tell me that's never happened before. I mean, like it happens. Like,
what are you trying to say, Trinity? Are you saying this is not
it's just
important
weird
enough?
to me.
It's not big enough?
It's just weird to me, like how they pick and choose what gets blown up. That's all. Like,
Well,
if I'm being expected to
it?
care,
Who picked
I don't know. I just know that one day I was watching TV. Next thing you know, it was everywhere, and I'm like, okay,
Well, maybe it's kind of insane.
Is it?
Well, yeah. If you have kids, don't you have kids?
Yeah,
You have teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So like, and these aren't teenagers, but I got
maybe
kids
I'm
in
just
college.
desensitized. Maybe that's what it is. I've seen so much stuff.
But I have a kid that lives in a dorm. I have a kid.
Well, mine don't live in dorms, so maybe that's what it is.
I have a kid out in college, man. So I hear it. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just
they know it's going to get my attention. Trinity. They know it's going to get my wife's attention.
Right. Well, like the Gabby Bettino thing blew up, and that to me didn't seem crazy. Like a boyfriend murdering a girlfriend, like that happens. It's happening right now.
You know what? Maybe I have a point because look, the R. Kelly thing took 20 years to blow up.
Yeah, that to me, the R. Kelly thing was insane. He's like holding girls ransom and peeing all over them and like holding the slaves.
Let's not go way off. Wait, let's get back to Idaho.
But my point is just like it's weird. I'm like, what blows up and what doesn't? It's just weird.
Duly noted.
So anyway,
so Trinity takes Trinity takes issue with why the Idaho murder scene got so much national attention when people are killed every day. That's all he's saying.
Just things to make you go, that's all.
Well, things that make you go, I like it.
Arsenio Hall.
Good old Arsenio reference. Yeah. Dog pound. There you go.
Exactly.
I remember. I was in L.A. at the time. I lived there at the time.
I still remember some of those, by the way.
So do I.
The things that make you go, I used to watch that all the time.
That's right. He was a great segment.
Yeah,
great segment. We all still say that.
Yeah, it was like the original headlines from Jay Leno.
Yeah. It's very close, like to that. If you say, so I can poop on or whatever. You always say that, and you kind of know where it comes from.
What?
For me to poop on. You never heard that?
Okay.
Of course you did. That was from the redhead dude. Anyway, get me back to Idaho killer, man.
Yeah.
So they think they found him.
Yeah, I mean, they found him through some sketchy ways, man. I'm surprised that's not being talked about more because this has now happened multiple times.
What do you mean?
They found him through the human genome stuff, man. The genealogy stuff, those things where we're all sending our DNA in to figure out how we're connected to our ancestors.
Right.
They're not using that to catch criminals, which I don't know how I feel about that.
What do you mean? It's brilliant.
Is it though? Like, this is okay. So as I've gotten into forensic stuff, right? Because my wife is one of those people who just loves watching these crime things, right? So I've spent an absurd amount of time watching these crime documentaries. And the one thing that I've learned over these years is they're not as like expert, like they're not as good as we are made to believe, right? We're made to believe that all this evidence is flawless and can hold up. Then when you start digging into it and the lawyers get a hold of it, then you start to realize like, no, like the hair DNA is BS. The lie detector tests that we were told for years are like, they're not even admissible anymore because they're so like, unreliable. And so I'm just saying, I've done the genealogy thing, and I could get a call tomorrow. Oh, by the way, you're being arrested tomorrow because they think you're, hold up. So I don't know how reliable it is, man. It just feels sketchy to me.
Are you saying this guy didn't do it? Is that what
I'm saying?
Are you making a case for him or what?
I'm saying the way they caught him bothers me. It bothers me that we're now able to. It reminds me of like Minority Report almost, right? Where we can catch you before you even do it. So now they're catching you without any actual evidence. It's just you took a DNA thing, and just so happens that you might somehow be connected to this person.
Well, let's put some things into perspective. Let's finish coloring the page, shall we?
Sure.
That is not the only way.
That's the main way they found him.
No, they did have a car. They saw a car. The car was still the main thing, from what we know right now.
Oh, see, I haven't heard all that. What I've heard is the main thing was they found DNA on something in there, and they found it through genealogy.
It was the car. The car was the main thing. They knew that they had a car.
Right.
And so what they couldn't connect is the car with anything additional.
Right.
Right. They knew they had DNA. So they had DNA at the scene, and they had a car. That's all they had, is what it sounds like. Now, so with the car, they go do what they do with cars, which also could be talked about by you if you don't like cameras, because cameras are everywhere, right? So they go to all the cameras at everybody's house. They go to all the cameras at every store. They go to cameras at every gas station, whatever, and they try to find this car to see which direction is this car going, whose car is this belong to, right? And who purchased that car? Who has these kinds of cars? And they go through all that. So that's one little group of interns and workers, right?
Sure.
They have DNA. So what does the DNA go? It goes to the database. But the database only works if you've ever been arrested.
Yep.
Right? Or submitted fingerprints for a gun permit or something like that, or some sort of federal jurisdiction, or some sort of a top level security or whatever. But if you've never given your fingerprints or DNA,
you and I are both screwed, because they've already gotten ours.
Yeah, they got mine. So then you hear this guy? What? You don't know what I'm talking about? Yeah, he's like, Chico is like talking smack over there. Anyway, so then the other thing, so that little group of interns or investigators is going into all the ways, and we got the new age people that also watch the shows you watch, and they go, hey, we can check into this.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have the telecommunications group that all they're looking for is who pinged, who was in this area. So
they're triangulate their position.
Some of us might not like that either, that there's locations on our phone. So there's every way that law enforcement uses to find killers now can be argued or discussed or whatever. Right. So this group so happened to find, the DNA like you did. They found a family member who said, wow, there's a match here. There's a close enough match. So then they go, close enough match, who lives in the area, anyone in the area, and then narrow that down to, does anybody have this kind of car? And boom, car, area, pinging a phone, pinging a phone.
Circumstantial is what I'm hearing.
No, because they still have the DNA there. And now they have him, and now they have his DNA.
Sure. That doesn't prove that he murdered him. Just proves that
I'm not saying. I'm not saying it.
I'm not saying he didn't. I mean, because if I'm judging just solely on looks, he looks like every killer.
I'm not saying, but you know what? We got enough for them to move forward. Oh, now we'll have our OJ moments in the sun and be able to watch to see did he do it or not.
Well, the thing that also doesn't help him, aside from just his overall affect, if you will, is apparently he was somehow, some way he was connected to either watching or researching. I literally was
12 times.
Well, it's a BTK killer. Like, I heard that as I was walking into the room, so I don't know all the details. I just know that when they looked at his laptop or something, he was like researching that or looking into that. So it's not looking good for him.
Well, no, they also say they have him right there at that location 12 times in the past year.
Wow. Okay.
They say
it's not looking good for him.
Stalking them at least 12 times.
Yeah,
now again, we don't know. It's got to go through its thing.
Innocent until proven guilty.
But I got to tell you, do we not feel safer today? Do we not as people feel safer?
It's an Idaho.
I guarantee you the Idahoans, because you can't call them Idahos, right?
Is it Idahoan? Idahoan?
I don't know, but I think Idahos sounds bad. So I got to say Idahoans. Idahoans?
I don't know.
I really don't know. So they have to feel a little bit better, and the families have to feel immensely better. That there's at least someone to look at.
I've always wondered that, though. I've always wondered how, from a family perspective, because at the end of the day, if something like that were to take place and my family was the victim of it, I think I would care more about getting it right. And so the problem I have is, once again, I've seen a lot of these shows where they feel like they've gotten it right.
Right.
And the prosecutors are convinced, like, yeah, this is the person. And then, like, fast forward 10 to 15 years, and now all of a sudden, like, DNA evidence comes out or whatever, and it shows that they were unequivocally no way in hell were they involved in any way, shape, or form. And then the prosecutors are always like, well, that still got my guy. No, dude, you were wrong. Oh. And then, but as from a family perspective, like, how do you then, like, what do you do at that point? You know what I mean? Like, in your mind, you were convinced that this person was it. You believed all the stuff. They went to jail. And you're like, okay, good. And then you find out afterwards they didn't do it. Then, like, oops, my bad. You know, like, what kind of closure do you have at that point? So in this particular case, I hope that if he's convicted, I hope that they caught the right person, and
it's
I hope,
solid.
yeah,
Solid
and
evidence.
I hope for the family that they can get the closure that they need or whatever.
Mhm.
Because worst case scenario, even, and that's the other thing too, is what happens if they feel like they got a good case but they lose. Like with the Casey Anthony, we just saw a documentary the other day where like 90% of the country still thinks that she did it, even though
Right.
she got off.
Right.
It's
OJ.
just such a weird thing. Yeah,
OJ and
OJ.
Casey Anthony, those two
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah, it's such a weird. Our legal
And,
system is weird.
and then Jumping A. Ramsey is still unsolved.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look, man. I didn't say it's a perfect system, but it's a system.
No.
And people do feel better once they feel in their mind that that's the person.
Yeah, of course.
So if he is the Idaho killer, then great, fantastic for them. I do got to say that if he is the Idaho killer and they do convict him and he did do it, that we owe law enforcement over there a huge apology for how everybody jumped up their shit because
they trashed them hard.
thinking that they didn't. I may
Dad
not
was
have
out there
trashed them, but I
talking bad.
was wondering if they were capable.
Yeah, but they were getting knocked around pretty big time.
Right.
The father was relentless.
Right. So it seems like the whole time they had their little clues, but they knew that these were such circumstantial clues that they needed to keep investigating what they had. See, they knew what they had.
Yeah.
They knew what they had, and they just kept shut. Hey, look, I gotta say, I applaud the silence that they had. I applaud the ass beating they took so that they can get it right.
Yeah.
That's why I think they got it right, because I think they took the ass whooping instead of having to have the answer that day. Because law enforcement and not law enforcement as much, politicians feel like they got to go in front and say we have it right. Because law enforcement, I'm sure, would on every case until they have a dead solid case would not say shit. And that's why federal government always gets it right. Federal government 80 to 90% gets it right because they wait.
Well, the key word is beyond reasonable doubt.
Right.
And any really good lawyer can probably give you reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a pretty solid case.
Right. So let's just hope that I hope he's the one. Get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that they didn't arrest the wrong person.
I mean, he fits the profile. He's a single white guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you look at him, he looks like every serial killer they've ever caught.
Every time they show his face, it's like,
what makes it even more creepy is he's like so nice and polite to everybody. Like he's like, yeah, dude, you did it.
He fits the profile
exactly.
It's not as long as it's not a Julio Ramos they arrested, I'm good, bro. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. What's the next topic?
Well, the next one, of course, is our good friend Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, update everybody on that situation.
Well, as of this morning, actually, I saw that they removed the tube from breathing, and he was responsive and talking to people. I think they FaceTimed the team, and they, reportedly the second he came to, the first question he asked was who won the game. So no way he understands what happened. Like he's just waking up thinking maybe it's a couple hours after the game and you all finished it, not realizing, no, bro, you've been out for a few days.
I think you got to get a little bit farther and say, not all the way to explaining what football is, but go a little bit further in the story to kind of lead us up to where you're at.
For those of you who have did not watch our Tuesday show in Dharma Time or don't live in the States and haven't watched any sports show for that matter. On Monday night, we have American football. Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills are playing one another. The gentleman here, Damar Hamlin, was tackling the receiver. Took what looked to be a standard hit, I guess, while he tackled somebody, and then got up to celebrate and just fell down. They performed CPR. They had to hit him with an AED. On the field for roughly 10 minutes, I guess is what they were saying. Then they rushed him to the hospital, and he was in critical condition. They were thinking he might die. They canceled the game. It was a whole big, huge news story for a few days. So,
right, and so it seems like when you watched ESPN or Sports Center for the 2 days afterwards, there was zero sports news. I don't know how they talk so much about that. To be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen a story in sport, regardless of what happened. Never saw a story dominate the cycle like that one did.
Kobe.
I
when
don't
Kobe
even think
died.
I don't even think Kobe's
Oh,
dominated all the cycle. I mean, they
when
talked
he
about it a
died,
lot. No, you got it right. I'm trying to put my memory cap
and
on for a
even
second
when
because I remember they talked about it a lot,
when Jordan's dad died.
but not to the level. Maybe.
Yeah, when
But that
Jordan's dad
Kobe
died,
was a big deal.
that was a big deal
It
for a
was
lot
a
of people.
big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is not a big deal, but Kobe's like legend. I mean,
Yeah.
Kobe's.
Well, when Magic
I mean,
came
you
out with
just say the
AIDS,
word Kobe, you don't think steak, you don't think beef,
yeah.
you think Kobe Bryant.
But when Magic came out with AIDS, that was a big one. They talked
It
about
was,
that for a long
but
time.
I don't think it dominated the whole. Like you couldn't watch Sports Center without that's
Well,
all
they
they
didn't
talked
have
about.
Sports Center back when Magic did that, but yeah,
That's true. Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about that part of it because look, if you want to hear our emotional response and how we feel about what happened on the field, go find the Dharma Time edition of Dope and Dharma that we did last Tuesday. So what is the specific date of last Tuesday so people could search for it?
It was just a few days ago, so it was what, January 3rd, I believe.
3rd, yeah. So January 3rd,
Something like that.
2022,
2023.
2023. Sorry, if you want to get that. But now let's fast forward because there was some comments that you made that I want to ask you about.
What was a debate that I got into?
All right.
That
Go ahead
preceded
and
those comments.
at least tell everybody that you were in a debate. Go ahead and
So
share
right
that, and then I'm going
after,
to ask you some questions.
so right after this situation happened, I am a contrarian at times, and so I will look at the other side of things,
Mhm.
regardless of how uncomfortable it is, regardless of how insensitive it might appear to be.
Right.
I'm always going to look at the other side of the coin. And when this was happening, there was a debate going on publicly about what do they do now? Like, do they continue the game? Do they
Right.
cancel it? Do they postpone it? Like, what do we do? And then for me, it seemed like to be it caught wildfire though. Like it sparked and it went everywhere. That
Right.
the consensus was you have to cancel the game.
Right.
And the reasoning that I kept hearing about why you should cancel the game
Mm-hmm.
just didn't sit right with me. It didn't make sense to me. And so then I reached out to you and sent you a text message. It says, hey, what would you do? Would you cancel it or not? And you were actually the only person in those like 2 days that made the only argument that I can think of that made any sense.
Does that shock you? Shock
No,
you that I'm the only person?
no.
I was kidding.
But the other arguments that I were hearing that just didn't hold water. I'm sorry. I just didn't agree with them.
Right.
And then somebody in one of my other like forums or whatever that I'm on, like a group messaging thing, they made the comment about how you have to cancel it. And I was like,
Right.
but do you? And then I says, look, I'll be the devil's advocate. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but
Right.
I will be the bad guy here. And I'll make the case as to why you should not cancel the game. And I made my case, and they disagreed, but I didn't agree. I didn't think their points, matched up against mine very well. And then of course that created a very a bunch of different ideas and thoughts and emotions that came out of those debates.
Right. So one of the things that you had said, so I'm going to put in quotes. Put in quotes. You said, "This feels gross to me."
Oh, yes.
Just the way that it all played out. Like, what did you mean by that when you said this feels gross to me?
So I'm going to generalize, I guess.
Right.
What felt gross to me was like the hypocritical nature of everything. So many people were talking about putting him first, and the football just doesn't matter, and how it was just like rude and disrespectful to even talk about playing the game, and just all this stuff. But yet, like, for the next several hours, day of, you had a bunch of people on TV who were all getting a paycheck to talk about what we just said was horrible. And then the next day, YouTube and all these other podcast forums were flooded with videos and commentary about it, that people were tagging his name and all this other stuff to get the clicks and get, like, the world was moving on the way we all know it's going to. But yet, they were also trying to chastise anybody who wasn't falling in line by saying that, this is the most tragic. It just felt gross, man. It felt like, really? It just felt gross to me. I didn't like the way that went down because
what else would the comment? I mean, all right, so and I'm not trying to defend the commentators
sure.
and the news networks and the sports shows, but what else could they do when the game was canceled? Like what could they have done differently? You think?
Well, no, it's not
Or what are the options that they could have taken?
it's not the fact that they were talking about it that bothered me. It was the way they were going about trying to take the high road and belittle anybody else, right? Skip Bayless, it pains me to think that I'm going to have to defend this dude because I don't like him at all. I think he's like a little rat, but he has a show with Shannon Sharp now. He used to be on ESPN, but he left, and they have a show where they debate things, and his hot takes are usually bad as far as I'm concerned. But he tweeted something on Twitter right after this whole thing happened. He had a couple tweets saying it was horrible and he wishes the best and he's praying for him and all these other, cookie cutter great things that everybody did. But then he followed it up with, hey, what do they do? Like, they've got to be thinking on, what to do with this game or whatever. And all these other things seem irrelevant. And anybody who has even a fifth grade, reading comprehension could read what he was saying. And if they understand what words mean, it was quite evident. He was just basically asking a question but for some reason, somebody misinterpreted it and made some horrible comments about it. And then it blew up. And then literally like all these people with blue check marks and like hundreds of thousands of people are trashing this dude and calling for him to get fired. But like, he didn't say anything. Like, literally the word, like, words have meanings. And when you look at the words that he used, it was nothing wrong with what he said in any way. It wasn't even insensitive. It was nothing.
It was just said maybe in a lot of people's opinion, maybe the wrong timing. You think?
No, if you don't have reading comprehension, then
but
yes.
What were the negatives?
Because they were all because
I didn't see it. I still haven't seen that tweet.
Their statement was that he was putting the game of football ahead of this kid's life.
And that's how they interpreted his statement.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
And what he said and what they interpreted are completely different. And I'm not going to get mad at him for other people not apparently having reading comprehension skills. Go back to fifth grade, people. Like it irritates me that like words have meanings. Like, I don't care how you felt. What did he actually say? And what he actually said was innocuous at best. And what made me feel gross was the fact, not that they were talking about it, but the fact that all right, I'll get a little deep here. The fact that that they were trying to take the high road and put themselves at a higher place than anybody else who felt differently about the situation or said anything different than they did. That I don't like. Number one. Number two, they all completely ignored what I feel to be somewhat self-serving things that people would put out there about, oh, I'm wishing you the greatest. Okay, but if you don't need to tweet that, right? Like, you tweet because you're trying to tell the world things. You're trying to tell people things. And so by you tweeting that, you're basically just trying to let everybody else who follows you know that I care. If you truly cared, you don't have to tweet that, right? Like, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't have done that, but to not acknowledge the fact that you're tweeting because you're trying to get people to know that, like that's like, it reminds me of the people who film themselves giving money to homeless people. Right? It's what it feels like. Right?
Well, specifically you said tagging him as self-serving.
Yeah, I think it's self-serving. I think it's, hey, look at me. I care. Look at me. I'm one of the good people. Like, I'm one of you guys. Look at me. Yeah, it's a tragedy. And yet I guarantee you at least half of those people went on with their days like nothing ever happened. Like, they weren't torn up about it. They just saw a moment that they could tag and get their little 15 seconds of fame. Maybe they'll have some people look at their little tag or like it or whatever. Like, I know that sounds, cynical, but come on, man. Like, let's not.
So you don't think JJ Watt was sincere?
No, I think JJ Watt was like if you're a football player and you know him personally, you play against him, that's a completely different person.
Is it?
Than
why
Sally.
Is that different? Well, why is that different?
Because you have a connection to that person.
Oh,
you know them.
So, but I'm going to go by what you said. But if he feels horrible about it or feels for him, he could if he knows him, he could privately contact the family through his agent. He could find a number and text them. He doesn't have to put a tweet.
He probably did. But he also has
a public.
he also has a public profile. He has a public persona.
So
He's known as the guy who helped out like Houston, Texas, and all this other stuff.
right.
So I give him a. Do I think he needed to? No, but I give him more of a pass than Joe Blow working at like Walmart.
So all the blue check marks get a pass.
No, not all the blue check marks.
Which ones do and which ones don't?
I would say the ones that no one are connected to him. The ones who are expected to have something to say.
Because I
Like
guess
if you're a sports commentator, if you're a fellow like coworker of his, you know, and I'm gonna call if you're working in the NFL, you're a coworker. You know, if you're getting paid to comment on things, if people turn to you to hear what your opinion is, okay. But just a regular Joe Schmo, no.
But Joe Schmo's a fan. Why can't fans?
You can't. I'm not saying you can't. You can, but let's just not.
You're saying the fan is self-serving. Why can't the fan show the family and show him that when he wakes up out of it,
because they don't care what he has to say. Like
well,
they don't.
Why do you?
They're not sitting there looking to see what Sally from Walmart thinks. Like they're worried about their child. They're worried about their brother.
Somebody is.
Maybe.
You know, somebody that. First of all, it helps him. I mean, look, it makes people feel good, right?
You could be 100% right. And the people who film themselves giving money to homeless people, they could be absolutely the greatest people in the world.
Wait. I do view those two things as different. And I'm not saying that not everybody wasn't self-serving. I do believe some are self-serving, but I think the masses felt better by whatever they said. They felt better. They felt like they contributed somehow. Like just for instance, he was trying to raise $2,500 for this one charity, and it ends up getting millions.
Yeah.
So the people that donated, not all of them got credit. It's not like they put on they didn't put, hey, I just donated.
And I think those people did a great job. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are saying, I want credit. Look at me. I'm posting this. Right. It feels gross to me. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, they're free to do it. It's a free country. Do your thing.
I think it's a judgment call on whether they were self-serving or not.
Sure.
I mean,
absolutely.
You know, I mean, I think that at the end
I'm going to look at him side eyes. It's just me. It's the same thing as people who put on like on Facebook, and we all have probably at least one person on Facebook that will put some weird cryptic, you know, oh, it's been such a rough day or whatever. Like all they're trying to get is validation for where they're at, which is fine. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Right. I'm just saying let's call it what it is. Right. Let's not pretend.
I guess I'm not so quick to call it what you think it is. And here's the reason why. Because I've heard people say this about like the death of their family member, and it makes me think, man, when that tragic day happens in my life next, do I just not do it? Because some people say, oh my God, they posted that their dad died. All they want is likes. And I'm thinking, ooh.
No, posting your dad.
But some people believe that, but some people said that. I've heard people say that if you post that your parent dies, you're just wanting likes.
And I'm sure there's some people out there that's the only reason why they do it.
But to even think that it saddens me.
That's the world we live in, though.
But you're choosing to think in a negative way rather than just. Why not just take it as face value? If they so what?
Yeah.
Why do you even choose to think of it as a possible
absolutely
negative?
a way to do it. I'm not going to, but
yeah,
it's just that's a way. I don't know, man, because I was one of the ones that I didn't have a problem if they would have continued the game, or if they stopped the game. Like it didn't matter to me either way. Like I could see justifications for both, but to somehow say that somebody is less than or a horrible person or whatever because they disagree with the popular stance, I call bullshit. Because you know, as you saw in the thing, the long diatribe that I went on in the debate, you know, there's 70,000+ people who were all there, and some of them took off work, some of them paid, you know, their whole savings to try to go to that game, and they took their kids or whatever. They're all ass out now. You know, those people matter too. All the people that were working, all the people who were expecting a check. And I'm not talking about the $1 million athletes. I'm talking about the people, you know, the concessions and stuff who that's how they got to go home and feed their family. They can't now because they didn't get paid for that day. You know, and just the ripple effect that it created. My whole point was that it affects more than just one dude. And playing the game or not playing the game doesn't affect his medical attention. They've already taken him to the hospital. He's already getting what he was getting.
So does this set precedent?
I'm sorry.
So does this set a precedent for future injuries? Like, is this a Damar level injury? Because
that's a slippery slope.
I'm going to project that this sets some sort of precedent of players saying that was bad enough. I'm going to go into the locker room, or I don't think we should play the rest of the game.
That's kind of my point, though, right? Like he's not the only person that died. As a matter of fact, he didn't even die.
No,
like he's fine right now.
Well, wait. He did die, but he was revived.
Depends how you define death, right?
Well,
Brain
death
dead is
defined.
dead.
Well, no, death.
Heart stopping is heart stopping. Like brain dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that died and then got revived. If you are revived, it's because you were
there's
dead.
death and there's clinical death, right? Like those are two different things. And so
I'm talking about
my point is
if
that
your heart stopped, you died.
Okay. Well, my point though is that same night, the rally car driver, the guy who created DC Sports, actually died. Like no hearts. No, he's not around anymore. And it wasn't even a ticker at the bottom of the thing. So, like this notion that somehow his death or his near death was so much more important than anything else. It just I don't like personally the precedent that sets.
Right.
Like it's like, hold up.
Right.
Let's put things in perspective here. There's mothers out there who did lose their kids that day.
Right.
And to see his near death like elevated above everything else to the point to where all these hundreds of thousands of people's lives are being affected. It doesn't sit right with me, and I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all. I'm just saying I have an opinion.
Right. Well, we've seen situations where a hurricane kills people, destroys an area, and what they do is move the game.
Yeah.
We've seen situations where boxers have died, but maybe not necessarily in the ring, like at least not pronounced dead in the ring.
Yeah.
But there's been boxers, there's been high school students, on fields.
Hockey players. A hockey player just died a few years ago.
Len Bias died on a basketball court. Jeep Jackson from my UTEP, when I was in college, he died on a basketball court.
Not to mention kids. There's actual like high school players and college players that have died on the field
from sickle cell anemia.
We couldn't even tell what their names are half the time.
Right. I mean, it's not the first time people have suffered an injury of severe nature, or even passed on some sort of playing field. It happens. What I'm saying is so does this create a precedent? Because our emotional response to this was different than the emotional responses to so many tragedies that we can mention that we've watched in sports. We've seen a lot of tragedies happen in sports, yet the event has always continued. Mm-hmm. If not that day, the next day or later. I mean, Dale Earnhardt died on the fourth turn here in Daytona. The next week they were racing.
I got another one for you,
and that's a legend. And
I got another one that most people don't even know about. Right, one of my actually, it's not even one of my. It is my favorite race in the entire planet right now. And that's the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man race that happens every year.
You have talked about it.
Yeah, people die like pretty much every year, and they've taken so much heat to try to close it down because it's so deadly. And they refuse to, and the people still participate, and the people still come to watch. It is my favorite race. It's an amazing race to watch. But part of it is, it's the name of the game, man. Like someone that could pass. Joey Dunlop was probably the most famous because he won it so many times and he died on the track. But like, so it's not unprecedented to have, a sporting event that causes devastating injury or death, and it continues on. Like,
is this one of those moments where people, is this like a white dude wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt?
You don't have to explain that one.
In other words, kind of showing like, hey, solidarity, like I'm on your side kind of thing. And when really it's like, that doesn't do enough. That's what's needed right now. What's needed is you actually be the change, not necessarily tell everybody that, oh, I'm the change. I'm here for you. What can you do? Like, what are they supposed to do? Let's say they feel like, because there's towns that have, they change the colors of their lights.
They're doing that now this weekend.
Yeah, so
this weekend they're all allowed to have like a 3, and there's always.
Well, I saw people.
He's not
3.
dead.
He's not Dale Earnhardt.
But he's not dead.
The reason they put the 3 for Dale Earnhardt, he died at that's my point. He died at turn 4.
Yeah,
but we're treating this like equal to a Dale Earnhardt moment.
And not to mention
because now it's kind of cool to do it. Like it's cool to say Black Lives Matter. But
Well-
do you really understand what that means in that organization? They don't even know the organization where their money is going,
Well,
but it was
they
cool
haven't
to
even
give
helped
to
black
it.
people either.
I'm
so
just saying, it was cool to go to that. It was cool to say that.
Yeah, that's why it felt gross to me. Is it felt like a bunch of
Well, that's
people
what you
jumping
think
on a
it is.
bandwagon,
Right.
and just like, whoa, dude. And anybody who was to speak any sort of
Right.
rationality to it was
Right.
suddenly outcast as like this horrible person.
Right.
Now, mind you, like, okay, as an example,
Right.
Ryan Clark.
Right.
I like Ryan Clark.
Love Ryan Clark.
I love listening to him speak.
Right.
I think he's funny. I think he's
Right.
insightful.
Right.
But that night and the next day, his little speech was all over the place. I'm going to say he didn't do that for free. I'm going to say that they paid him for his time to sit there in that chair and say what he had to say.
But that
So
doesn't make it less genuine.
No, doesn't make it any less genuine. But at the same token, like, so it's okay for him to profit off of talking about the supposed close call here, but it wasn't okay to continue on with the game and not have this ripple effect that affects everybody in a negative way. It was okay for all these people to tag the stuff the next day and make money off of clicks because they all know that his name. We did it.
But we didn't
our
do
show
it.
on.
We didn't do it for the profit like that. I mean, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do the show anyway.
We were gonna. We were
We
gonna
talk
do
about hot
Dharma
topics
Time.
anyway.
We were gonna do
We did do Dharma
a
Time.
show, but the reason.
But how do
why
you
we,
talk about anything else other that day?
Well,
It's like a 9/11 moment. The world created a 9/11 moment when it wasn't 9/11.
which
But the
kind of
world
proves my
created.
point.
And I'm with you on that point.
My
In
point
other
is
words,
we're
the
talking
world
about it.
creates a 9/11 moment. It's like the whole world stopped, and like you can't talk about any football or anything without mentioning it.
Well, you
just
can.
can't.
You just won't
Well,
get the viewership.
Well, not
So
just
if
the
you want the
viewership, you're
viewership-
villainized. Like you said, you're villainized.
Well, my point is, but if you want the viewership, if you want the people, you're going to have to talk about what they're talking about.
Like, can you imagine on 9/12 saying, "Hey, where are you? You didn't come to work today, downtown New York."
The post office did that. I promise you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, you still got to work because somebody needs gas today,
Well,
Get
yeah,
your ass to
life,
work.
the world doesn't stop just because of tragedy
and
happens.
it really doesn't.
And we're seeing that right now because there's this massive debate on
Right.
what do they do. Like
Right.
there's talks about them forfeiting the game, moving the game, having another. Like nobody knows what to do, and it's causing this huge clusterfuck because
Right.
like, and had they just played the game, none of that would have been a problem.
Right.
You know, and I get it. It feels good to say, oh, we can't do that. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying logistically, what feels good isn't
Chico
always
agrees
the
with
good.
you.
Exactly. What feels good is not always the best decision.
Well, I take issue. I don't take issue with how it was that night. I didn't feel
Right.
the same way you did that night.
Right.
However, I think you were already projecting of how it was going to go a little bit, and I am more on your side of how you feel about it now.
Right.
To me, I don't think this is a 9/11 moment. I don't think this is a Dale Earnhardt,
No.
dying in turn
No.
4 moment. And I do question why they're memorializing this so much. Because, I mean, dude, one of my favorite football players, Ryan Shazier, can no longer play football anymore. Had one of those moments where he got hurt a little severely on a field and, had the surgeries and everything, and just never came back to being Ryan Shazier, who,
Sure.
we wanted. And so we lost that player as a player. Still here as a person, but not there as a player. And yet none of this, none of this,
No.
that
And
team.
that's-
I mean, we know the teams do that for their player, and that's
Sure,
fine.
of course.
But man,
And that's what Dominic Foxworth was hinting at, by the way. He was on a Get Up the other morning, and he was I give him credit because he was very careful in how he worded it. But I knew what he was getting at because I've seen him elsewhere. He's part of the players union and stuff like that. And he made a comment on the show, and they glossed over it, by the way. Like nobody picked it up and ran with it. And he was basically saying is like, there's people out there right now who've been playing football, who've had CTE and everything else, who are devastated, and yet nobody seems to really say anything. We don't mention their names at all. We don't make sure that they have insurance. We don't do any of these things. But this dude who just had a close call, the earth is like stopping for this guy. Like
right.
So he was trying to in a roundabout way mention it, but he did it in a very classy way to where he didn't want to get canceled essentially.
Right.
But I felt what he was putting down.
Well,
and it's true.
It's like when we try to raise money to help people get to treatment through the Now Matters
Yeah.
More Foundation. We try to help people get to treatment, and we can't raise jack. But as soon as someone dies, of an overdose, all of a sudden people are donating.
And that's what I mean by this whole thing just feels gross to me.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to make a like
How
everybody's
about we're
allowed to
just gross?
feel
How about we're
they're
just gross? People are just
Yeah.
gross.
well, they're allowed to feel how they want to feel. That's fine. But I'm
Right.
gonna have a different perspective on it.
Right.
My perspective is like, just this.
In all perspectives
didn't
are
sit right for me.
necessary. In all
Yeah.
perspectives are necessary, so that we
Sure.
don't we just don't have one stagnant view, because just
Sure.
because we feel it's right doesn't make it right, and just because we feel it's wrong doesn't make it wrong.
Yeah.
And no, I like that you have a different
Well, there was
view of it.
another one that I.
That's why we talked about it today, by the way. We talked
Yeah.
about it today in order to bring
Yeah.
up these very difficult thoughts about it, because some people are having these thoughts and probably getting in arguments and fights and feel like, I'm not even allowed. Am I a bad person because I'm having it? Why am I a bad person because I'm having these thoughts or ideas about it?
Well, so the other thing, one side note before I go to my next point was, it was also interesting, this tragedy and all this other stuff. And they're like, all right, we're going to cut to commercial. Hey, have you tried a new Whopper lately? It's like, oh, that just feels weird. But anyways,
Right.
the other thing that didn't sit right with me,
Right.
and once again, this is going to go a little bit deeper, I think, for some, but, and maybe I'm the only one that saw it. Who knows?
Okay.
But I think it was this morning or last night. I was watching, just one of the sport commentary things, and they were all talking about how do they move forward from here, right? Like, how do we go to work the next day? How do we do this? Like, how do we do? And for me personally, all I saw were people that were so far removed from everyday life. And what I mean by that is, there's people out there who were dealing with what happened to Damar Hamlin and 1,000 times worse, that still have to go to work the next day.
Right.
That still have to figure out how to pay the bills and put food on the table. And so just to me, I didn't like the comparison. I didn't like this, we're the only ones that deal with this mentality that I was watching, because his whole family, none of them are worried about how to put food on the table. I mean, this dude's making 6 figures plus.
Well, we don't know that. Wait, that's a general statement.
Sure.
That doesn't mean he's giving everybody.
Do I have their W-2s?
He's a 24-year-old kid.
Sure.
He's in his first years, and he's not a star player.
Yeah,
so he's not making
figures.
I don't know. But
minimum
6 figures. But six ain't six. 6 ain't the 6 you think it is.
I hear you, but
6 sounds like a lot of figures. It's not enough figures.
Semantics.
6 is not enough figures.
Semantics, because you're not going to compare that to the single mom working at McDonald's trying to.
But his mom may be the single mom working at McDonald's. We don't know that. I don't know her finances.
I'll put whatever I got to put on right now. That's not the case.
All right.
So my point is there's people who have to deal with tragedy on this level or beyond, that don't have the luxury to sit back and think to themselves, how am I going to move on? Right. No, they have to go to work the next day, or that bill is still sitting on the table, final notice that they got to pay, and so for me, it felt like that too. It just contributed to what I felt to be gross. It's just like, dude, how far removed are you guys? Because people act, I'm so tired. It's usually people with money who act like money doesn't help. The fuck it doesn't. Right? Like, I'd rather be upset in a Lamborghini than upset, on a Lynx bus any fucking day of the week. This idea that money doesn't solve problems is the biggest crock of shit that I've ever heard in my life.
Well, money doesn't solve problems.
The fuck it doesn't.
No, it does not. It solves financial problems.
Exactly.
But it creates a whole bunch of other problems. So it doesn't solve problems.
It can.
It does. All money creates problems.
Maybe.
Whether it's a little bit of money or a lot of money, problems come with money.
Sure. But I know a lot of broke people who have a ton of problems too. Right. And so my point is this idea that somehow money makes things worse. Like, get the fuck out of here. I tell you what, anybody who's watching this show right now, if money's making it worse, I will give you my address and you can send it to me. I'll take those problems. Right. And that's the thing, is nobody will do that, which is proof positive. Fuck you. Money does solve things. Because if it didn't, I don't see anybody giving it away.
Solve things.
It
solves financial problems.
Exactly. That's a problem.
Right.
I didn't say it solves all problems.
Well,
but it solves problems. It does. Money does.
Poverty solves problems too.
Money talks.
Under that definition, poverty solves problems, because
it does.
It gets rid of all the
truly
rich
free man is the man that has nothing.
Let me tell you, the truly free man is a person that doesn't care about paying their bills because they don't care about their credit score. That person has zero problems in my.
Well, they still have.
I can say the same thing. No, they have
they
zero
have
problems. If you can pawn a tool to pay your bills,
sure,
good
I
for
agree.
you. Because then you're probably the same person that's stealing a tool to pawn the tool, pay your bills.
They said the truly free man is the man that has nothing.
There you go.
Because if you have nothing, then
There
you're
you
not a slave to anything.
There you go.
You know,
But-
you can come and go as you want. But anyway, my whole point was,
Right.
this idea though that
Right.
woe is me. Like, just hold on, man. Like, there's people out there with like some
Right.
major problems in their lives right now watching this. And they're making this dude, first of all, he's not Gandhi, right? Like, none of us knew his name. Let's be honest. If you weren't a Buffalo Bills fan, and even if you were, you probably didn't know his name. Like,
Right.
come on, man.
Right.
He was a virtual nobody in a sea of nobodies. And we're acting like he was Gandhi that passed away saving the world. It's like, hold up, man.
So-
he didn't die, number one.
Mhm. So he's the Colin Kaepernick of injury now, right?
Wow.
Because Kaepernick sucked as a quarterback, and all of a sudden, on Madden, the guy is like a
Yes.
great quarterback.
99.
You know,
Yeah.
matter of fact, if you play Madden right now, there's a thing that when you score, you can put solidarity on there and you kneel.
Wait, what?
Yeah. On Madden right now, if you score a touchdown, one of the celebration options is to, like, if it says solidarity and you pick it, you kneel like Colin Kaepernick. We made that dude into a freaking hero, and he's a fucking joke.
Wow.
Sucks as a quarterback. You don't know if he sucks as a human being or not, but what you do know is he talked a lot of shit about a lot of people and the system that we lived in. And one thing is questioning it and making it better, but the other thing is to just be a jerk off about it. And we turn him into a Jesse Owens.
Yeah,
He's not a Jesse Owens.
No. Well, as a 49ers fan, it hurts me because
So-
he took us to a Super Bowl. But
So
yes, he was not a good
what
quarterback.
I'm saying is, you're saying now Damar is this, a bigger than life figure that can get a Nike deal out of it, and
But the
and
worst
they
part
will
about it-
profit from it. They will profit
Well,
from
of
it.
course, they already
because of
are.
this.
They already are.
Right.
All the viewership that they're getting talking about it, that's
Right.
translating into dollars.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's not even his fault.
Right.
He just collapsed, dude. He had no,
Right.
what's his name? Kaepernick sought it out. Like, he lit that fire. This other dude didn't like the fire. This other dude just had a medical
You're right.
emergency.
You're right. He didn't ask for this.
And with the Kaepernick, the thing
He didn't ask for
to
this.
me, I would question if he's a
Yeah.
good person or not. Because what
Right.
kind of a person compares, playing in the NFL to slavery?
Yeah.
Those
You're right.
Those
You're
are
right.
big different.
Oh no, he's I don't
I
like.
question your morals as a human being
Yeah.
if you see the similarities between getting paid millions of dollars to
Yeah.
volunteer for a sport versus involuntary servitude where you're
And
getting
wearing-
beaten
right,
and raped
right,
and
100%.
killed.
And wearing socks that are calling cops pigs on
Yeah,
national television,
big
and
difference.
expecting NFL or the ownership not to have a problem with that. You're wearing my freaking uniform. If you're wearing my uniform, you don't wear socks that's called cops pigs. You can think whatever you think, but don't use me as a platform. You know what I mean? Don't use my employment as a platform for your bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't mean that Damar is that, by the way. That's not what I meant by it. What I meant
no.
was Kaepernick was virtual nobody.
Yeah.
And we made him into somebody based on an emotion. There was an emotion, a real emotion that existed out there, but we used him as a beam to push that emotion, which made him important. Well, there's an emotion of feeling bad for young people that get struck down early or that have injury early. So there's an emotion that probably already existed that Damar now fits the mold of that emotion.
Yeah. Well, and everybody's talking inclusive, but
Right.
once again, there were people who actually lost their lives
Right.
that same day.
Right.
They weren't even a ticker at the bottom.
Right.
And so it's like that to me is why I think if we're truly trying to be inclusive or tolerant or whatever word you want to put to it, then we have to have an automated response to these things. We have to have a response that is mindful of the compassion required for everybody involved, but also mindful of the wheel that needs to keep moving for us to kind of move on. And we already do that in most other areas of our lives. Because the other thing I brought up in my little debate there was, we live in really busy Orlando. There's accidents happen all the time, and many of them somebody dies in.
Right.
It's not shut down all day long. It's shut down until they can clean it up.
Right.
However long it takes them to clean everything up
Yeah.
and get the person gone, it's right back to being open.
You just brought up an image in my head of people just pulling over and saying, "How can I drive?" After watching what I just saw, after seeing what I just saw, let me pull over. Oh my God!
And
How can
matter
I
of
drive?
fact, they cause more accidents because they're trying to look as they're driving.
You're
So
right. You're
so like
right.
nowhere, dude. We had Boeing. Boeing had a problem where their little sensor didn't work properly and crashed a 747 and killed everybody on board.
Right.
and they didn't even ground it until the third one went down.
And you still took a flight the next day, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like they didn't ground all flights in America or the
right.
world.
No.
There was a Malaysian plane that we still haven't found. Malaysia's still flying places.
No, you're right. No,
So
you're right. You're right.
So nowhere else on earth do we do that. But for
So
some
why is
reason,
it hyped up so much? Why do you think
know.
it's hyped up so much?
I don't know.
Why this? Why Damar Hamlin? Why this moment? Why such hype? Why is he now this figure
I know something
that is going to
mind.
put him in the crosshairs of negative people like yourself?
Negative people. Wow.
I was kidding.
I know something comes to mind, but I don't know if I feel comfortable putting it out there.
What, you think it's a race issue? Do you think that? Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, it feels like that. I'm not saying it is.
Maybe.
I'm just saying it feels like that.
I don't know.
It just it feels, because at the same token, did you hear about Peyton Hillis?
He must be a white dude. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Peyton Hillis was a running back. He was in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's in critical condition right now because yesterday or the day before, he saved his 2 children from drowning. He jumped in, saved them from drowning. They're alive. They're fine. He's in critical condition right now because he saved them. Did you hear about him at all? Has that been anywhere on the news?
No, but I'll bring up. There was another black guy though that did pass out days before that Damar did. That died actually. He didn't just pass. He just didn't collapse.
The Jacksonville player.
Yep, he actually died.
He was a post player though.
But he's a black player. So in other words, I'm taking the color out of it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't think it's a color issue because we had a black player, a Jacksonville player.
I don't mean color as in it only happened because he's black. Well, I guess
it just helps. You think it checks a box?
I think for me,
you think TV goes, oh my God, this checks a box. And please tell me he's gay. Please
Yes.
tell me
Yes.
he's transitioning.
and it's not.
Tell me he's transitioning.
Well, it's not just because he's black. What I'm saying, my immediate thought,
Right.
be it right or wrong, was
that's where we're at.
The popular thing right now is athletes turning them into spokespeople for victimized people all around.
Interesting.
NBA did it. All these, they have all these, on their shirts now, end racism and all this stuff.
Wow.
And so we're now looking to them as our moral guiding force for some reason.
That's heavy.
And so the fact that this happened, and there's this big movement right now about how poor NFL players, as Kaepernick tried to say, they're treated like slaves and stuff.
Wow.
There's this mentality out there. So yeah, I think producers saw this and was like, hell yeah.
Wow.
Like never waste a good, what was that called? Never waste a good tragedy or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I can't help but to feel that, yeah, it checked a couple boxes and they ran with it. And because of the tone that we're having at the moment, the world just clicked to it, right? Because right now, the consensus in America, anyways, is that black people are being murdered by police all the time and being discriminated against and sexism and all these, which aren't true if you look at the actual data, right? Like if you look at the empirical data, it's just not true. It's not factual, but it feels good to say. And so people just run with it. And so I think what happened was people got caught up. One person was like, oh, this is a tragedy. And was like, well, yeah, this is a tragedy. Yeah, let's all get together and have a tragedy. It's like, and then if you look at it, the response does not equal what he's not dead, guys.
Well, let me
they're putting memorials this weekend. You know that, right?
No.
This weekend, every NFL team is going to be able to put either a Bills red or a Bills blue 3 on their field. They're allowed to wear, they're going to put a patch on their jersey. That's the response does not equal what happened. And I know that makes me the asshole for just pointing out realistic, logical things. And fuck it, I'll be the asshole.
It doesn't make you the asshole. It just shows that it's where we're at.
Feels
it's where
like
we're at. And so
I'm just
I want to interject.
Yeah,
exactly. I just want to interject the fact that that's where we're at. The problem is that's where we're at right now, where we're so used to everything being a political, race, or gender issue that unfortunately, Trinity, a guy as intelligent as you, even has to think that that's a possibility. That's the sad thing. That's where you're right. That's where we're at. That we can't help but question the authenticity of everything, and that's sad. That's the real sadness here. Is that look, Damar, your family, whatever. God, man, we were shook up that night, and don't take this wrong, but we just question how far down the road we take this.
Yeah.
Because yes, you're right. All of us have tragedies within our lives. All of us have death and
No,
disruption
we
within
see
our
death
lives.
every week. Like,
And so, I'm not holding up the number 3 for you,
No.
Damar. I'm so. It's not that I don't respect you or feel an emotion because of what happened to you, but I'm going to leave that to the person that not only died on the field but did die.
how about the person
You
that
know,
we know?
like because the number 3, Dale Earnhardt did die on the
Yeah.
field of play.
Yeah.
And stayed dead.
Well, we know a person, not sports related, but we know a person that, like, this is what goes through my head. How am I going to tell the person that I know that lost 2 of their children within a 12-month time to overdose? How am I going to tell him that the America feels horrible about this dude falling on the field?
Right.
I can't. You lost 2 of your kids in a year. Like, that's tragedy, bro.
And that raised $2,500.
Yeah, that
We were
sickens
only
me.
able to raise $2,500 for a
I
man
know.
that lost 2 children.
Yeah, in a year's time. Like that hurts my heart. But the
The
point
2
is,
suicides that we just suffered. What was it? How much? 1,100?
something like, 1,500.
1,500.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective, people. This guy is alive.
Yeah.
And
Millions is
millions.
And
Yeah.
memorials.
You're right.
And
You're
just,
right.
so
You're
for
right.
me, I just maybe I'm just being pessimistic or just an angry old man, but I just like I can't get behind it, man. I can't. I'm not saying it's not, dude. Full disclosure for everybody's watching. Like, my heart goes out to Damar and his family and anybody of his friends who witnessed it. It's a sad, horrible, unfortunate thing that happened. Like, it sickens me that it happened to him and they have to now rebound and this kid might never play again. Like, that's a very sad, unfortunate situation. I'm not saying it isn't, but what I am saying is let's kind of keep it in perspective a little bit.
Yeah, we got to talk to Drayton. We should have brought Drayton on the show.
I don't think that's going to go well, bro.
Well, I mean, Drayton knows the guy in Jacksonville that didn't get any attention.
Yeah,
so maybe we ought to have next week's show. Maybe we ought to invite Drayton, or maybe, you know what? Maybe someone that could put it in perspective. Fred Stokes. Maybe we have Fred Stokes and Drayton, and just get different perspectives on how we process, how we deal with these kinds of things, and what does it really mean to us? Because I think I'm sure Fred has something to say about it.
Right.
He might not. He might not say what you think he says. Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
Today he does his Fred's Minute. He does his Friday with Fred.
Right.
So I'm sure he's saying something on it today. We should have had him on right now.
Yeah.
We should, so maybe we'll get Friday with Fred next Friday.
Isn't that a movie or something? Like Freddie Got Fingered or something?
Well, you took it in a weird direction, but
not that kind of movie.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that no, fingered like for the crime, right? But we have we have that in our old Rolodex. So look. Drayton used to play. Fred used to play. Fred has a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
So let's get them on the show and let's talk to them about this. If it's, especially if it's still going on by next week. If by next week we're still doing, these things, which I got a feeling that we're going to run it the rest of the year. The Super Bowl's probably going to have some sort of thing for him. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't think
he will be at the Super Bowl in a box seat, guaranteed.
Oh yeah. Well, he'll come out on the field and do like a wave or something.
Yes,
yeah, I can see
guaranteed.
that. But
Guaranteed.
do I think that we're going to be as fixated on it as? And that's the other thing.
No, but the NFL will run it as far as it's got to run it.
It's PR, baby.
Right.
Like,
and the players' union, is going to use this, and they need to. They need to use this to get players more money.
Oh yeah.
For the retirement, and let me tell you something, they should get the money for the retirement.
I agree 100%. Yeah, don't think that. Well, it coincides obviously with them making the weeks longer too, right? The season's 1 week longer.
Yep.
And now we're seeing all these injuries. So,
yeah, but we're not in the 17th week yet.
No, but that was their argument. Was
right. Are we right? We're right there though. We're right at the edge. Actually, aren't we? Like, what is this week?
This is the last week. This is week 18.
So it is. That would have been the last game of the season.
No. This game this weekend would be the last game.
No.
Oh, it would have been prior to the changes.
Yeah, that would have been the last.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So they're going to use it to negotiate, I'm sure. And they should, get as much money as you can.
Right.
But yeah, I think, and there is another one. I'm going to say it anyways, because I've been dying to talk to you about this and we haven't even, we haven't talked about it.
You get me in all kinds of trouble today.
I don't even give a shit anymore.
What's up?
We briefly, I sent you one text and you responded, and that was the extent of our interaction.
I've responded to a lot more of your texts.
No, but the one I'm talking about.
I'm kidding.
So I just want to say, and I want recorded evidence. I am not a Trumpster. I'm not a far right wing conspiracy nut. I'm none of those things. So if anybody feels like saying that,
all right. So
more power
you're setting
to
it up. You're setting it up. All
well,
right.
because I
Where
know
are you going to go with this?
in today's world, you can't even say certain things without being labeled.
Okay.
I'm just saying, anecdotally, I don't have, I'm not a scientist. I didn't go out there and poll everybody in the world.
Yeah,
I'm
my
just
tumor
saying,
twitching. My tumor's twitching. My tumor's twitching. Go ahead.
I feel like I've seen a massive uptick ever since these vaccines happened with cardiac issues amongst people who don't normally have them. I'm not. I've seen some data out there, and I've seen some incorrect data. Right, I've seen some far right wing nut jobs who are saying that like 800 people. Not true, but it has increased. Like I'm seeing people now with ages and health that you don't expect and don't fit the criteria normally for a cardiac event. I'm one of them.
You're one of them.
I never had heart problems,
and they can't find the reason why, and they don't know the reason why. You're one of them that had the vaccine and had the 2 vaccines. You might be a victim of the vaccine.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy dude, but I'm just saying it just feels odd to me that these there's rumors. I don't know if there's any truth to it that this dude Damar Hamlin had a vaccine a couple days prior.
They all did.
Well, I know he's vaccinated because he's in the league, but I'm not sure the time frame in which he had it and result of it. But
what's your number? What number did you when you played? What was your number?
Me?
Yeah.
When I played football?
Yeah. What was your number?
Oh God, I don't even remember now. That was like 30 years ago, man.
My computer's about to die.
Uh-oh. Yeah, but anyways, I just want to put that out there.
Like you don't know your number. All right, so give me a number. What's your favorite number?
23. Jordan, come on, man. Okay.
I'm just putting it up just in case you pass out, just in case you fall. just in case you don't make it, Trinity.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that in the next like 10, 15 years, there's going to be some sort of like, you know how we're right now, were you ever at Camp Lejeune? You know?
Well, let me tell you something. You bringing up something. The last time we did this show, when we did the Dharma Time episode of Damar Hamlin, we didn't want to get into the negative part at all. And there was a viewer that put on Facebook Live that was watching us and put is there a link to all these collapses? And we didn't want to cover it during that show.
Yeah.
But that guy from Jacksonville did also collapse, and he's a young man.
Yeah, he's 38.
Yep, that collapsed. And is there a link to the recent collapses? And look, maybe.
Well,
we don't know, but you can't even talk about it.
Yeah. Like when the Wuhan lab thing came out, you were chastised and told no,
China.
No. And then all of a sudden, like fast forward a couple of years, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, there might be something to that. Right?
Hunter Biden can't talk about it because you must be a right-wing nut.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know what? There might have been more to that.
The border is not secure. You can't talk about it because you're a right-wing nut.
Yeah,
There's a recession. You can't talk about it because you're a right-wing nut because it's only transitory. Should we take the Trump vaccine that now you're calling the Biden vaccine, but it's really a Trump vaccine, but now you're calling a vitamin vaccine. And now
I'm done. I'm not getting the booster. I'm not getting. I'm done.
I'm never getting another. I'm never getting another one. I'm done.
I'm not going to look down on anybody else who wants to get it. For me, I haven't. I got COVID, and even with the shot, dude, I felt like death warmed over. Dude, it was horrible.
I'm not getting the stupid vaccines unless I absolutely have to.
Dude, I've seen just look around, even anecdotally, with just the people I know.
Yeah.
There's been so many heart things.
Right. Stop calling it a disease of the unvaccinated. It's not only unvaccinated people that get it. It's not only unvaccinated people that transmit it. Everyone gets it. Everyone transmits it. The vaccine only supposedly only helps you.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is, what if there's a link to all this stuff?
Yeah. Japan actually did a study with adolescents, and they did a study where it was showing that they were having more cardiac events.
Oh, bro, if that's true, God bless, bro. Both my kids are vaccinated.
Yeah. Japan, look it up. Japan study.
My wife's going to be like the cockroach, the only one that's alive because she's not vaccinated.
Just my point. I'm not saying
all the unvaccinated people are going to be running around alive. Vaccinated people.
Gotcha. I'm not saying that was like done purpose. All I'm saying is it really like forget political leanings for a second. Right. Is it really that far-fetched to think that a bunch of multi-billion-dollar corporations and a
Right.
government
Right.
rolled out a vaccine very quickly that might not be completely up to par.
That is what the originally that's what the Crips were saying. Trump, you're an idiot. Trump, you can't bring out the vaccine. It hasn't been fully vetted. That's what they were saying. Then they got in office and go, everyone should get it. It's awesome. It's great. I'm going to make sure everybody gets it easier and better.
Yeah, Biden and
they flipped it. That's why I call it the Trump vaccine. It is the Trump vaccine.
Yeah, well, Biden and Kamala both said during the debates that they would not take it.
Right. All of a sudden, they're
so
full of shit.
I mean, our government
they're the first
ones
to say no. So seriously,
our government has a long history of Tuskegee. Like they're not above putting some stuff out that isn't the best.
Suck.
You know what I mean? And so,
dude, that would suck.
It would, but it's too late now. I mean, I already got it.
That
thankfully, I got it in my 40s, not like I'm 20. So thankfully, I'm at the back end.
Thankfully, I'm sedentary and I don't do any movement that can lead to a cardiac arrest.
But I don't know, man. My gut tells me there's something there.
My
gut tells me where there's smoke, there's fire.
Let's our investigative team. Let's put them right on that. Put our investigative team on that. Sure. Let's find out some more linkages because I'm about to run out of juice here.
Yeah.
So we better close up. You got any final kind of things that you want to talk about today? Did they come up with the speaker yet? I don't think so. I didn't get any alerts.
Yeah, I didn't get an alert. I don't think so.
All right, whatever. All right then. Well, I'm done. You got nothing then?
No, I just my only thing would just say we've got to continue to just as human beings. Everybody has a voice, man. Like right. You want your voice to be heard. Don't get upset when somebody else uses theirs as well. Like that to me is the takeaway from this is always keep in mind that there is another side of the story that matters as much as yours does. Right. Like just keep that in mind. Right. With the murder thing, the dude could be innocent. I'm not saying he is or isn't. I don't know. He's innocent until proven guilty. So let's not run this dude over the coals until we have some more evidence and we know what's happening. Right. When it comes to the Damar Hamlin thing, like, people are going to have different opinions on how that goes. People look at death differently. Like, not everybody views it as a tragedy the way you do. And he did not die, people. So just be very careful of like completely throwing a gauntlet and like being closed-minded and saying yours is the only one that matters and everybody else is just wrong. Like, just be cautious. That's all I got to say. I don't know. What was that? 3?
Because it's so cool to put the number 3 up now. Like, oh my god!
They say that is a white supremacist thing now.
Just let me do it like this. Well, I'm a Mexican, bro. How does that relate? They call us white now.
Doesn't matter.
So let me put it up like this. But I gotta tell you, people, the only reason I got an issue with number 3 is because I'm 30 minutes from Daytona Speedway, and this is sacred. You put.
My bad.
What'd you do to me?
I'm out of practice, man. I'm out of practice.
The 3 is sacred here in Daytona area, bro. That's Dale Earnhardt. He's the only one that's ever going to be number 3. If you try to steal that, you guys are attacking redneck royalty. You're gonna make, and then you're gonna call them all racist, and then you're gonna call them all whatever you call them. But it's because you're attacking. It's like taking something that a figure from a different culture did, and then bastardizing it. You can't do that. You cannot do that.
They're already doing it, bro. Number 3 is now it will forever be known as Damar Hamlin.
I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of NASCAR fans that are going like, whoa, not allowed. And they're and instead of realizing that it's because that's a Dale Earnhardt thing, that's like throwing up a Kobe Bryant thing and getting rid of it and turning it into a different culture thing. You cannot do that. And then you're going to blame them for being racist. And you're setting up these NASCAR guys to be called racist. But anyway, this only means Dale Earnhardt. And look, and NASCAR also has a Hamlin, but it's Denny Hamlin, not Damar Hamlin. Anyway, Damar, good luck. I hope you get better. But football must get on. The game must go on, and I can't wait to see what happens because I still think Pittsburgh Steelers actually have a chance.
Yeah, you guys
actually have a chance. What the hell is going on? Let's talk about it next Friday. See what happens. We'll get update who's going to be in the playoffs, who's not going to be in the playoffs. But for now, and who's going to be the Speaker of the House? Who knows? But for now, adios amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.
And now that you know better, do better.